All right, we're now live. Good afternoon.
Yes,
good afternoon, and welcome back to Turismo TV. My name is Barbie Atienza, and I'll be one of the moderators for the afternoon. And of course, we've got with us a very impressive panel of people who are all stakeholders in the tourism industry. But before that, I'd like to say hi to a good friend and the president of Turismo PH and also Turismo TV. Good afternoon to you, Michael.
Yeah, good afternoon everyone. Also to our panelists, to our viewers. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat at patuloy po sana kayong makinig sa amin sa hapong ito. Magbibigay po kami sa inyo ng mga information at mga news and updates about sa tourism situation sa SBMA.
Actually, we've been giving them updates on the ongoings in tourism industry all over the Philippines. Last week we had Western Visayas or Region 6 yata, ano ba?
Yes.
Medyo nag-iikot tayo. Binibigyan natin updates lahat ng mga players, mga stakeholders in the Philippine tourism industry. So malaman natin ano ba ang sitwasyon, ano ba ang katutunguhan natin sa industriya towards seeing an end to this pandemic and this quarantine. Di ba, Mike?
Yes.
Mike, siguro give us a little briefer for those who do not know yet, lalo na yung those who are joining us for the very first time now. What is Turismo PH and what is Turismo TV at bakit ba natin ginagawa to?
Okay, thank you very much, partner Barbie. Well, ang Turismo TV po is a concept project. No? This is a social broadcasting channel dedicated for tourism. We're trying to bridge or we're trying to connect the people in the industry through this media that we are actually doing. So, alam natin na tinamaan tayo ng COVID at right now we're actually on lockdown. So, ito po ay tulong or public service ng Turismo PH sa lahat po ng ating mga kapwa, no, nagninegosyo sa tourism. At ganun din po sa ating mga kasama ng mga travelers. Before we put up our own business, no, na nasa tourism sector ngayon, dati rin po tayong travelers. So madalas po tayong magbiyahe dati. Sabi nga nila jet setter pero sa Pilipinas lang. So ito po yung ginagawa natin.
Ikaw daw, Mike, yung Mike, yung proverbial a woman in every port. Totoo ba? Nabibisto ko tuloy.
Hindi po tayo. Pero yeah.
Bigla ka namumula, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, but we actually traveled a lot, no? From 2006 to 2011. We have been traveling all throughout the Philippines, and this is the reason why we're advocating tourism, because we believe na sa Turismo PH that tourism is the only way to go for the country to prosper. Especially yung mahihirap nating lugar sa Pilipinas, tourism is a very potent agent for economic growth. It's a very potent agent for economic growth. Only with tourism, no, can a province or a city be developed in a very short time. Sabi nga namin, very powerful ang tourism. And that's the reason why we are actually into this type of program.
Tsaka requirement niya ng funding, hindi naman ganun kalaki na talagang ang yaman ng turismo, nandun na sa natural setting natin, natural sites, and the natural niceness of our people. Di ba?
People, yes.
Kaya magandang bentahe.
Yeah, sabi nga nila, Sir Barbie, no, tinatanong nila what's going to happen with tourism. You know, personally, I believe, kaya meron tayong Turismo TV, is hindi mawawala ang tourism sa Pilipinas. It's part of our culture. It's part of human nature. Tourism is also part of nature. Mawawalan actually ng mga textile industry sa Pilipinas or even actually electronics. But tourism is there.
Huwag ka naman damay. Walang mawawala. Dapat walang mawawala.
Yes. That's how powerful tourism is. And embedded na yan actually, or strategic yan sa bansang Pilipinas.
Pero alam mo, kahit sa mga balita ngayon during the quarantine, ever since we started dealing with this pandemic, madami nagsasabi nga, the hardest hit industry, one of the hardest hit industries would be tourism. Tsaka mahirapan na raw bumangon, mahirap bumalik. Well, this is what Tourismo TV is all about, telling you that there's a future in tourism, there's a lot to look forward to, at yun ang patutunayan natin sa pamamagitan ng ating usapan dito sa ating live telecast na ito on social media. At pakilala na natin ang ating mga guest panelists for the afternoon. Mike, unang-una, pag-umpisa na natin mula sa... This is very interesting because we're going to Region 3. That's the northwestern part of the country. Tama ba yan?
Yes.
Northwest, no? Northwestern part of the country. That's where the sun sets. Yung eastern part, that's where the sun rises. Di ba? Northwestern part of the Philippines, and we have a lot of things that are going on there, have always been going on. This is Region 3, and we're looking at tourism there. And when we look at Region 3, we cannot talk about the very attractive and very progressive Subic Bay Metropolitan Administration or Authority. O basta SBMA. Tatanong natin sa ating panelist. Welcome aboard the manager of Tourism Department of the SBMA, Miss Jamelle Camba. Good afternoon, Jem.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Yeah,
welcome.
Yeah, later on I'll be talking about Subic, our triumphs in the past, the challenges that we face now, and paano tayo babangon. Yeah, later yan.
Sige, pakilala muna natin yung iba pa mga panelists natin. Ang Executive Vice President, ENP, this is the President of Heritage Conservation Society and also TwoEco Incorporated. I got to meet the gentleman during one of the briefings ng board ng Intramuros Administration. I remember, di ba? Yung conservation plan ng Intramuros. Yes, I remember him. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Attorney Mark Evidente. Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon po. Good afternoon po sa lahat ng audience natin. So we're here to share our findings on our surveys and also to share what we know of tourism development planning and how that applies to COVID management. Yun po. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much and welcome aboard. And lastly, to complete the panel, we have the manager of Best Western Plus Hotel in Subic. There's a chain of hotels of Best Western. They have one in Subic. Let's welcome to the show, Mr. Raymond Fujii.
Hello, Sir Barbie and Michael. Thank you for having me. And Best Western as part of the talk today, and hopefully that we can inform our viewers on what we are doing right now in Best Western and hotels here in Subic as well.
Okay. Muntik na kitang batiin ng konnichiwa eh. Bakit Fujii ka? Bakit? Pero Pilipino ka eh.
Yes.
Saan ba nang galing yung Fujii? Half Japanese. Okay.
Yes.
All right. First up, before Jem and the gentlemen, before we start our discussion, Michael, ano bang sakop ng Region 3? Para lang meron tayong perspective.
Okay, ang sakop po ng Region 3, I will name some lang po, no? So, Zambales, this is kasama po ang Tarlac dito sa atin. Kasama rin po ang Pampanga, kasama rin po ang papunta po ng Isabela. If I'm not mistaken.
Dito sa kabila.
Sa kabila po ba yan?
Ayun. Natawa si Jem, sabi niya, parang hindi yata
hindi
Isabela.
pala.
Okay. So, Zambales, Bataan, hanggang...
Bulacan,
Pampanga hindi, no?
Bulacan, Nueva Ecija,
Aurora.
Covered, Aurora. Aurora.
Okay. So it's central Luzon, western Luzon, northwestern Luzon, di ba? Okay. And right in the heart of this is a piece of land there which used to be historically as the American naval base in the Philippines. Now it's been growing, it's been progressive under Filipino. It started with Filipino volunteer force, and now it's really full blown a tourist destination up there in Region 3. That is the SBMA, or everybody calls it Subic. And Jem, you'll give us an update on what is happening in Subic now in the height of the pandemic, and what are we looking forward to. So, folks, please welcome Tourism Manager of SBMA, Jem Camba.
All right. So again, good afternoon to everyone. Siguro we'll go straight to the presentation. If you can please pull up the presentation for Subic. Pull up the presentation for Subic.
Yeah. Actually, yes, ma'am. Nandiyan na po. Tinataas lang natin.
Okay. So in the presentation, I'll be talking about Subic Bay in the past. And ayan, ito na siya. So if you can have a bigger picture of the screen, please. Nababasa naman lahat? Huh? Okay,
Yes,
so
nababasa naman po.
all right. So as I mentioned, in Central Luzon, we are very proud that we are the #1 destination for almost a decade. So ang malaking factor po dito is we're very near lang the metro, we're near the other regions. So that's a big plus for us. So in the past almost 10 years, we have been #1 in Central Luzon. We're lucky to have been part of the top 10 destinations in the Philippines for both 2015 as the #4 destination. In 2018, we were the #10 destination. So every year we've been having like about 10 to 15% growth rate in terms of visitor arrivals. So I think about 2 years ago, we decided to focus on another niche market, which is a cruise ship arrival. So in the past 2 years, we've been focusing on that, and we have been touted as an emerging cruise ship playground. So later I'll be talking about that and its impact to the community. So if you'll take a look at the right side of your screen, you'll see that we have experienced steady growth. So in 2019, the screen shows the orange figure would show your visitor arrivals. We always include this in our reports because since we're very accessible, we have a lot of same-day visitors. So these are the field trippers who go to Subic just for the day. And the other table, the green table, is the tourist arrivals. So makikita nyo po, for 2019, there was a drop in tourist arrivals. As you all know, Subic Bay was one of the hosts for the Southeast Asian Games last year. So we had to close down our facilities. We had to turn down a lot of road events para po maiayos lahat ng roads namin, etc. So that was an expected down for the visitor arrivals and tourist arrivals. But we all expected to rise up again for this year kasi because of Southeast Asian Games, ang dami na namin mga nabook na mga events na supposedly this year gagawin. Unfortunately, COVID happened. So we will show you now the next slide. It shows us the economic impact of what's happened in the past. Next slide, please. All right, so if you take a look at the left side of the screen, this is the direct impact to SBMA of what happened, the pandemic of COVID-19. So for cruise ship arrivals, the direct revenues lost by the agency is just a mere 8 million. Okay, medyo maliit. Sea events po, 2.6 million because only a few events canceled. Karamihan po ay nag-reschedule, which is a good thing. And of course, we lost tours. So as you can see, the total direct impact, negative impact to SBMA of the COVID-19 pandemic is about 10.8 million. But if you'll take a look at the right side of the screen, which is really more important, especially for the stakeholders, napakalaki po. So i-compare natin yung cruise ship sa SBMA impact 8 million, pagdating po sa impact sa buong freeport, it's 156 million. Okay, napakalaki. Let me just share that this economic impact reflected, the 156 million, is a reflection only of the canceled bookings for the first half of the year. Interestingly, last year, the total economic impact for all cruise ship arrivals, about 18 arrivals, was 136 million. So in the first half of the year, nakain na po yun. Ganun po sana kalaki yung impact. Unfortunately, nagkaroon po ng COVID, so yun po yung malaking impact niya. Let's go back to the screen, please. When it comes to hotels, ayan po, yung event side sa kanan, kasama po dyan. Let's go back to the previous screen po. The table. Yeah. So yung event side dyan, kasama po dyan ang mga bookings at mga events po ng ating mga hotels. So kasama dyan yung lahat ng mga ina-expect sana nating malalaking event. We were supposed to host, I think, 2 to 3 very big events this summer. Yung annual communication convention of the Masons, that's 10,000 attendees. We were supposed to have a Handmaids of the Lord International Convention, that's 6,000 attendees, and we're supposed to have the full distance Ironman in Subic also, na napakalaki rin po ng impact. So ito po yung mga nawala for this summer. And of course, yung tours. Kasama po dyan sa tours yung mga nakabook po at mga pupunta sana sa ating mga theme parks. So this data reflected here are from our stakeholders, just to give you a picture of how big the impact is of COVID-19 in Subic Bay. So you're talking about 274 million. This is a conservative figure. Wala pa po dyan yung direct negative hit also to SBMA as the agency. Kasi po we gave certain concessions to our locators also. So napakalaki po ng impact. Next slide, please. Okay, so of course, paano ba namin in-address? I think before we go to talking about how do we get tourism up and running again, we have to first make sure that we are able to address the problem, which is the pandemic and the crisis. So just so you know, in Subic, we have our own swabbing facilities. We have our own isolation facilities. We are using the former Michelle Hotel and the Subic Gym. They're going to be used as isolation facilities. So when it comes to the pandemic, we are ready. And I'm very proud to say that Subic Bay is still COVID-free up to this day. And so when we go to the meat of tourism and how we plan to move forward, that will be one of the main points that we will be talking about. Next slide. So as you can see, of course, now, as is common to all the other stakeholders, we promote how we are able to respond to the pandemic. So, of course, Subic Bay is COVID-free. That is the main point. We have started coming up with infographics and materials, all in social media, talking about Subic Bay's response to the pandemic. We are COVID-free, and in Subic, kilala po tayo na maging disiplinado. So hindi lang po kami disiplinado sa pagdating sa traffic, pero malaking bahagi po ng pagiging COVID-free namin, yung disiplina ng mga tao. People here follow the guidelines, follow the rules. Ayun po. And of course, there are a lot of safety measures in place. As soon as you enter our gates, and of course, kahit saan po magpunta dito, enforce po lahat ng safety and health guidelines. Once people are able to move more freely, especially for leisure-related trips, the way I see it, they will first go to destinations that are accessible. Most probably, they'll go to places that are very near. So domestic land-based po ang nakikita namin na magiging initial movement ng mga tao. And Subic Bay is very accessible to the rest of Luzon. So actually, ang top market po natin is NCR and Region 4 and then Region 1. Okay, so yan po yung mga nakikita natin na movement. Can we go back to the slide, please? Okay, and then of course, there is a strong partnership between SBMA, the stakeholders, the different government agencies, the associations and organizers, which I think is very crucial at this time. So it's about supporting each other and being there for each other, and making each other avenues to promote each other as well. So another point po na talagang tingin ko makakatulong kay Subic is dito po kasi napakaraming inaalok para sa lahat. We are the theme park capital. We have a lot of activities and attractions here. So given the expected decline or decrease in the capacity, carrying capacity per facility, marami pa rin pong pwedeng gawin. Kahit pumunta dito, hindi po limited masyadong galaw dahil marami pong mga pwedeng pagpilian na gawin, whether sa theme park or sa gubat or sa dagat. Okay, and of course, isa pong selling point po ng Subic, nothing beats hitting the heart and the soul and experiencing nature at its finest. So talaga naman po in Subic, napakaganda ng paligid. At kung gusto po nating makalayo-layo sa ating tahanan, makalanghap ng sariwang hangin at makakita ng mga magagandang bagay sa paligid, Subic po ang magandang puntahan. So of course, digital marketing is the key. We promote ourselves through our partners like NLEX is a partner. Our organizers, partner organizers have been there for the past 26 years. Lahat po kami nagtutulungan to promote each other. Of course, yung mga other parts of other aspects like when it comes to the other fees, yung mga fees po na charge ng tourism, environmental and tourism administrative fees have been suspended. We-waive din po namin ang classification fees, and our business group also has concessions to be given to the businesses to help them get through this crisis. So yun po ang aming mga ginagawa po ngayon. At if I can request, please, to have the video played. So you'll see how beautiful Subic is. All right, so that's the end of my presentation.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Jam.
Thank you,
Kanina,
Barbie.
sinasabi ko nga kanina, yung hindi pa nagpi-play video, sabi ko, that's not the only beauty that Subic can offer. That's actually Gem Camba. Jam, pero kwento mo sa amin muna.
Yes,
You showed the figures. Mamaya babalikan natin yan. Pero can you give us a description of what Subic is like now? I mean, may tao pa ba lumalabas? Anong sitwasyon ngayon dyan?
Well, yung mga unang mga linggo, I must admit, napakalungkot dahil, of course, napaka-limited lang ng mga open industries at that time. It was mostly the export-oriented industries. So, yung usual nakikita kong traffic na in Subic is not there. So, I would by the the usual destinations. Medyo malungkot, but just this week at the past weeks dahil marami na pong open, marami na pong mga tao ulit. We have almost 150,000 workers in Subic. Ganun po kalaki ang population namin in Subic.
Yung March 17, when we were starting all this quarantine, what did you do? May mga guests dyan, pinauwi nyo?
Sir, kapag po naka-check-in na siya as of March 17, hindi pa naman yun pauuwiin. Kasi
You let
naka-check-in.
them stay?
Yeah. And even the long term, that's allowed. Actually, I think more than half of the hotels were able to get clients pa rin naman even during ECQ because allowed natin is yung mga employees of the open industries, and a lot of our locators house their employees. So, kung kahit pa paano po, sir, hindi naman po sila na zero doon. Yun.
Okay.
So
more or less, Jem, with the residents there and the employees, the locators, mga ilan ang tao dyan sa Subic during this quarantine?
Sa quarantine, sir, mababa lang po ang residente natin. Less than 10,000 residents. Less than 10,000. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ang mga residente. And then for the open industries, that's a portion lang, parang 10-20% lang po ng population.
The workforce.
Let's say, mga around 30,000 at that time. And then, ting ng MECQ, yan, tumaas naman na. Tumaas na.
Okay. Pero, with a limited number of people, medyo mas madaling i-contain, kaya COVID-free pa kayo.
Oo naman, sir.
Yes, sana, hari naman, it stays that way.
Yes. Apo.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Jem. Mike, you have a question for Jem initially?
Later na lang actually. I'll ask question coming from the viewers.
All right. Sige. Wag mo na tayo lumabas ng SBMA. Let's stay within the Subic area. And one of the locators there and one of the hottest places to go to there is the Best Western Hotel right there in Subic. And we have the manager of Best Western,
Raymond Fujii.
I'm sorry, I'm having a
sir, Raymond.
problem. Yeah.
Raymond,
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes,
Raymond, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, thank you again for inviting us here in your program. We at Best Western Hotel Subic is that we are one of the premier hotel here in Subic right now. But again, we are all facing the same problem right now. We know that this COVID pandemic is really hitting the tourism industry or the hospitality industry at its core. But we understand that and we know that it will bounce back soon. Right now, we are still operating, catering some of the long-staying guests. We are catering to the companies nearby for their employees. And again, right now, I think we are the only hotel that implementing such standard that can at par with the international brand. Again, Best Western is still the international hotel right now here in Subic. So aside from the DOT guidelines that given to us, we are of course following the Best Western We Care Clean program. For the front desk, I'll be discussing the steps that we have right now in doing the cleanliness, elevating the cleanliness that we are doing for the past years here. For the front desk, we already doing some new protocols in minimizing the contact. um, from the personnel to the guest. For the check-in and check-out, we are encouraging the guests to pre-check-in via our mobile concierge platform or through email. We are also conducting social distancing measures to be implemented across the Best Western, um, and of course signages that's prominently posted on all our lobby, and enhanced sanitation procedure. It will be from time to time we will sanitize our front desk. Um, Sanitizing station, of course, it's mandatory with our government right now. For our guest room and housekeeping, we enhance our cleaning procedure. Instead of doing it from 2 hours to 3 hours turnaround time of every floor, in every room, we are doing it 24 to 72 hours. We need to make sure that before it will be given to the guest, it will be cleaned, sanitized, and we we are using right now a UV sanitation for bacteria and viruses, and all our employees are wearing protective equipment. Even our back of the house employee, it will once the MECQ will be implemented here in Subic. We'll make sure that it will be a safe for both our employees and our guests. But for the public amenities, right now it will be suspended, especially the fitness center, the pool, meeting rooms. Right now it will be suspended. So yeah, again, those are some of the initiatives that we are doing right now in compliance for both government and Best Western International. I'll be showing you our video with regards to our initiative that we are doing right now in the hotel. Hi, Miss Ruth. Hello.
Yeah, I think there's a delay on the latencies, but it will be
Yeah.
played. Yes. Yeah, sige. For the meantime, while actually waiting, let me ask you a question, Sir. Sir Raymond. When you say actually minimizing contact,
Mm-hmm.
hello.
Yes.
When you say you're minimizing contact, how do
Mm-hmm.
you do this with? Okay, let's play the Western video first. Okay, for the information of everyone, we have now 508 viewers. The same, and in our program.
Raymond, wala talagang sound to, no?
Actually, meron siya eh.
Ayaw lumabas ang sound. Pero
Hello.
you're showing here different
Sound.
interventions you're doing to make sure that we keep the premises safe.
Correct.
All right. Yan. Upon checking in, sanitizing. Okay.
So dati, 3 hours lang.
Right.
2 to 3 hours, pwede na mag-check-in. Like, check-out is 12 o'clock. Then, 2 p.m. is check-in. Right now, our rooms cannot be released without properly sanitized. So, it will be
Okay.
24 hours to 72
Pero,
hours bago i-release sa guest.
Pag ganun katagal ang turnover, less ang
Yes.
na accommodate nyo.
Correct. So, right now, 50% siguro, so that we can release our room every 24 hours.
Para din sa transport, no? I mean, it's gonna be less than capacity.
Yes. Mm.
Okay. Malaking diferensya yan, ha? 2 hours to 72 hours?
Yes. So we cannot maximize all our rooms right now. Again, the paramount right now is the safety and the cleanliness and the sanitation of our guest rooms.
Of course.
We need to make sure that we elevate our standard procedure for our cleanliness.
What's your occupancy rate now?
Right now, since GCQ, actually mas bumaba pa kasi most of the companies are already allowed to go home. But during the ECQ, we are enjoying a good occupancy. But of course, the average room rates really is really
Discounted.
No? Yeah, but again, sometimes you need to balance the stakeholders and the business, correct? And at the same time, again, tulad na sabi ni Miss Jem, some of our employees are still paid. So not all, but some of the employees are still paid. And again, we need to strike the balance.
Pero pinasubukan na ni Jen, sabi niya kanina all. Kaya kung meron ka employees na hindi binabayaran, magrereklamo sa inyo yun.
Meron pa rin kasi again, not 100% operational talaga eh.
Understandable. All right. Did you get the share of meron mga OFW returnees that were quarantined in certain hotels? Meron ba kayo dyan?
I'm not sure if most of them are in Manila. Before sa Manila pa lang, I think naka-quarantine na sila eh. So
dyan wala.
Pagdating dito sa Zambales, or in Subic area or Olongapo, they are already quarantined.
Cleared na.
Na, correct.
All right, good. Sige, madami pa tayong tanong na Mike kay Raymond mamaya.
Yes.
All right. Okay, we go on to the third member of the panel, folks. He is the president of the Heritage Conservation Society and TwoEco Incorporated. So welcome to the panel, Atty. Mark Evidente. Mark?
Hi, Mark.
Nakamute ka pa.
Wait, thank you.
There you go.
Good afternoon again, and thank you, Sir Barbie. Thank you, Sir Mike, for having
Mark,
me.
before you give us an update, siguro introduce us and the audience to first yung Heritage Conservation Society and TwoEco.
Okay, so first yung Heritage Conservation Society. So that's we're a nonprofit, a civic which is a civil society organization, no? And our advocacy really is the conservation of our heritage sites, no? So itong mga historical sites natin, itong mga places that played an important part in our identity as a people, we work to make sure that they are properly protected, para at least future generations continue to have a connection to that identity, to their past, through these particular sites, no? So usually they're museums, monuments, places of historical events, or places of particular cultural practices, mga ganon. So of course you have the UNESCO sites, no, yung like yung rice terraces, yung mga Baroque churches natin, no, San Agustin, Mag-ao, for example, mga ganon. So itong mga places na to, these are important to who we are as Filipinos, and so we should find ways of valuing and conserving them for the future, no? So yun po yung Heritage Conservation Society. We're an advocacy group, and we work to preserve those sites, no? Second po, kami po sa TwoEco. So TwoEco is a sustainability consulting firm, no? Why sustainability? It's in our name, no? Yung TwoEco is actually for economic development and ecological management, no? So yun yung po yung dalawang eco, economics and ecology. So we have to find a balance between these two as we move forward here in the 21st century. So that's how we got into sustainability. I myself have been involved in tourism policy and planning for over 15 years now, no? I was working on the Tourism Act, and then now I'm working on a lot of tourism projects and a lot of LGUs, no? And helping them prepare their tourism development plan. So that's been the work of TwoEco, mainly on tourism development planning over the last 9 years, no? Okay, so so that brings us now to why we're here and why we're talking about COVID. Part of tourism planning is really finding out, of course, what's the future of tourism and how do we plan to meet the future demands, future needs, future requirements of travelers. So when COVID was unfolding in the first few months, no, we had these very conflicting senses, no? Why? Because as in the tourism sector, you know, we're really all about experiencing life. We're all about experiencing and doing things to the fullest, diba? And so we're naturally optimistic, diba? We're naturally optimistic, but that tendency for us in the industry, no, didn't seem to jive with the pessimism of the public health professionals and the economists. You know, there's a term that they call the economists, but they call it the dismal science, no, because parang, you know, they're trying to figure out certain things that you know. So we had these two contrasting views, no? And so we were driven to try to figure out what to make sense of the situation for the industry, no? Because a lot of us in the industry are really concerned and really want to open up, no? Because of course our employees are suffering, and then of course we want to return to normal, all our natural habits, no? But of course we do have those problems to deal with, and so we wanted to find a realistic scenario by which people can really make definite or more concrete plans about the future, about their lives, about their businesses, about their travel, and all that. So that's why in late April, no, we released our first survey to examine how tourists would respond to travel once the lockdowns are lifted, no? So that's the first survey, and then just last week, no, we had another survey focused mainly on Boracay, no? And then, but of course, the things that we learned there in that survey of Boracay can really apply to a lot of other destinations, no? And why do we do this? Because of course, there's a very basic principle, no, about us as when we plan things, diba? It is to hope for the best but prepare for the worst, diba? So while we are optimistic in the industry by natural disposition, no, we also of course have to be prepared for the worst case scenario, no? Because again, the lives of our staff, the lives of our visitors depend on that. Okay, and then there's also another thing, no, when it comes to when it comes to some military strategy, diba? There's the great guru of military strategy, expert, si Sun Tzu, no? Sun Tzu, a great Chinese expert on military strategy. He emphasized that he can tell which general will win the battle by the number of calculations he makes. Okay. So I think what Sun Tzu was driving home is that if you enter into a situation that is a struggle, you really have to analyze things and study things in order for you to come up with a strategy to move forward. No. Okay. So that was the context by which we came up with, we decided to come up with various surveys, and then we issued a number of recommendations in early May to many of the stakeholders in the industry. No? So I think from there, no, let's switch to the presentation. Yeah. Okay.
I see. All right, Ruth, the presentation.
Okay. Okay. So again, we did 2 surveys. No? So we're trying in some aspects of this presentation are focusing on one survey or another, or we synthesize them. No? Okay. So first, and of course, this is not everything we've done in a survey. We've tried to summarize it, but there are a lot of other interesting points that we could discuss later on or in some other forums. No? Okay. So the 2 surveys, one is that we were able to get a decent demographic. No? We were able to get different people of a different genders, different age profiles, and different income levels. No, okay. But the main two things we wanted to see is that, the pandemic is not just a public health problem. Diba? It is also an economic problem, right? And that's why we are in this situation now, the GCQ, because we have to find a way to balance both the public health concern and the economic concerns. No? But yung kailangan ma-stress dito is that for many people, travel is discretionary spending. People will not travel unless they have the money to travel. And so there is a problem that over the lockdown, people might have gone deep into their savings. No? Maraming na unemployed sa mga kababayan natin. No? So how can we possibly expect that we will have our 80 or 100 million domestic travelers if people obliterated their savings in the last 2 months? No? So that's one thing, and around half of all people surveyed felt that their personal finances were significantly or severely affected by COVID. No? So dun pa lang, you can already have a sense that on the economic side of things, people will not have the money to travel, even if they wanted to. But many of them feel that their finances will recover over the next 6 months or a year. Okay, so yun, may konting recovery doon. Okay. Second, on the travel interest, yun, public health is a main concern. People are worried about catching the virus and being unable to manage once they're infected by the virus. No. And that one, we're looking at somewhere between 60 to 70%. Yung talagang concern sa public health side. So even looking at it from those 2 points of view, then we see how that there is really a very tight situation moving forward, for the industry. Okay, hopefully this is something that is merely a short-term concern, that people will gradually start to just expect that this is part of the risks of moving forward, or maybe a vaccine will be found, or maybe we find that, okay, our public health system can now accommodate many people getting infected, but no one dying, which hopefully you can all move forward to. Okay, so this is a short-term trend, and maybe as things move forward, we'll get better data. And then next slide. Okay, so as with many people looking at the situation, domestic will make the perceptions of people rather, is that domestic travel will resume first before international. So people feel that between 6 months to 1 year, domestic travel will gradually resume. Okay. While for international, then you're looking at 1 to 2 years to recover. No? But I have an asterisk here. No? This is the perception of people. And there, again, this is the optimism, diba? That we're hoping that domestic travel will recover within a year, right? And then international in 2 years. But I have another slide later, no, that will look further into that. For most people who are traveling for leisure, they will delay traveling, and then most people feel that it is business travel or essential travel that will really pick up quickly. No. Okay, next slide. Okay, and then you can see here also what kind of places people would like to go to and would like to avoid. No? So for travelers, they will avoid wet and dry markets, malls, shopping districts, and amusement parks. So of course, the people who are in the industry in these sectors should be aware of this, right? How can we assure travelers that it's okay to go to these places? No? Okay. On the other hand, there are those places naman na travelers are more likely to go to. So mga natural sites, no? Campsites, natural parks, farm sites, museums and galleries, restaurants and cafes. No? So siguro dito dito lumalabas yung interest ng Pilipino na gusto kumain, ganon. No? So talagang lumalabas yan yung restaurants and cafes, even though it's a point of concern, no, in terms of managing the public health side. No? Okay, so next slide. So now let's talk specifically about Boracay. And again, to some extent, we can say that this might apply to Subic or a lot of other destinations. No? So Boracay activities, no, people most participate in leisure activities for Boracay. No? So water activities, going shopping, indoor activities, bar hopping, island hopping. No? So ito yung the activities that most people would like to participate in. But we know from the previous slide that things like going shopping, indoor activities, no, these might be a point of concern for public health, diba? Bar hopping, yon. Okay. So we need to weigh those things, that the interests of people, and then of course kung ano yung naging concern ng public health. Okay. Next slide. Okay. And this pertains to the accommodation sector, no? So one is that the hotel sector, people will prefer the hotel sector over the informal rental sector, no? Because there's the perception that hotels might be able to maintain hygiene standards better, okay? And the travelers will generally prefer these things, no? Establishments with government accreditation, establishments with certain industry certifications, yung mga ISO, mga green building, may mga ganon, no? Establishments with specific measures on COVID management, okay? And then establishments with highly rated cleanliness and hygiene. No? So, remember, we have a very small market now, no? We're looking at a market of people that is much, much smaller than the 80 to 100 million domestic travelers that we've seen in previous years, no? But imagine now that if these are the things that travelers are looking for, no, the establishments that can provide these things, no, that they are accredited, that they have met industry certifications, they have specific COVID strategies, no, these are the only enterprises that can possibly move forward over the next 6 months. No? Okay, next slide. Okay. Now, this is the asterisk that I was telling you earlier about people saying that they will expect domestic travel to resume within 6 months to a year. Why is there an asterisk? No? Because if you actually ask people what they will do, dito lumalabas. Because if you look on the right side of the screen, no, travel plans in the new normal, 51% do not plan to travel to Boracay until there is a clear solution to the pandemic. In our general earlier survey, no, it was also around that level, no? 40% for domestic and 60% for international, that they will cancel all travel plans and not travel at all until there is a solution. Okay, so you reconcile that, no? That you have that sizable chunk of the market will not be traveling at all, no? And then a sizable remainder will have to say they will cut down on travel and only limit it to essential travel. And when they'll travel with a lot of the, face mask, face shield, hand sanitizing, and all that. No? So I think for the industry, we really have to look forward to that. No, or rather, we have to consider that when we plan, that the demand for travel will be very much lower. But of course, this might meet also, baka babangga din doon sa the fact that like hotels will lose a lot of their capacity because they have to manage it na you have only so much occupancy because of the cleaning requirements and all that, no? So baka doon din tutugma yung demand and supply, no? You might also want to look here on the left side of the screen, no? In pre-COVID travel, no? 41% of respondents said that they specifically had plans to travel to Boracay, which had been affected by COVID. No? So that you can see. So you can see there between 40 to 60% of the market has really been affected by COVID, and they don't expect to resume traveling anytime soon, except for the most urgent of situations. Okay. So again, these are the calculations that people have to plan for and anticipate. This might be a worst case scenario, right? That maybe people might come to accept this kind of level of health risk as part of the normal in our daily lives. No? But again, we hope for the best, but have to prepare for the worst. No? Okay, the next slide. And then ito yung pinaka malaking finding doon sa second survey is that 76% of respondents believe that a second wave of infections will likely occur. No? So imagine if that's that size, no, of the sense of people na magkaka-second wave. No? Then what is also the possibility na magka-lockdown ulit tapos maipit na naman yung buong industriya ng turismo. No? So again, these are the things that we have to consider. No? It's not intended to panic people or to make people depressed even further about the situation that we're in. No? But in trying to get a sense of what the reality is, or what the reality in terms of expectations are in the short to medium term, perhaps, then this data is as good as any, right? Okay. So next. So we're now moving to a bit towards our recommendations, and we tried to simplify it, no? Just identify very key points, no? that we'd like the different stakeholders to consider. No? So number one, if you're a traveler, you might want to monitor the destination. Are there active cases? Does the destination have a plan? And do they have the resources to contain outbreaks? Second, of course, is your travel essential? No? Are the costs of travel, the risks and inconveniences of complying with social distancing and all that, are they worth it? Third, when you do travel, the expectation, of course, is that you follow social distancing guidelines and protocols. And really, when you say it's the new normal, we would expect that in any tourism destination throughout the country or even across the world, this will be expected. Masks, spacing, regular disinfection. So yung mga tourism sites that normally are very crowded, even as they open up, you will expect that there will be places where the crowd is managed by gates or watched by ushers or security. Okay. And then last, follow local regulations on registration, tracking, limitations on crowds, areas that are off limits or have special requirements. So wag pasaway. Basic yon, because after all these things are really intended for not just for us as individuals, but for everyone. Kasi yun yung aspect na public health. It's not just individual people, but rather our individual choices have an impact on other people as well. Diba? Whether we wear a mask or not has an impact on whether someone else gets infected or not, right? So yun po yung point dito, no? If we do decide to travel, we have to make sure that we follow the guidelines, no? Be respectful not only of our public health needs but also those of others. Next slide. So among enterprises, no, the quest, and of course this is a broad group, no. You have the hotels, you have the travel and tours, you have the tourism transport, no. You have MICE and conventions, events, no. The DOT has already prepared a lot of guidelines and protocols for these different enterprises, no. So the first question is that, do you know the protocols for your enterprise, for your sector? Has your staff been trained to properly implement them? Yeah. Next, are you accredited? Because we saw that in the surveys, accreditation is a very important factor for travelers. No? Have you been certified by the DOT in implementing the protocols? No? So the DOT is launching now a training program for different enterprises to know how to do the protocols and implement them. No? And then, do you have good ratings on travel and booking platforms, especially on hygiene? So ito, these points, talagang kinuha lang doon sa survey natin. At ito yung concerns ng public. No? So kung yan yung demand, dapat yung supply, tugunan nila yung demand. Okay. Next is, are you working closely and collaborating with local government and other stakeholders in implementing COVID management strategies? No? Importante yung aspect that you're looking at the community, looking with the local government. Because again, it is a public health problem. No? If other people are not following the guidelines, you can do all the cleaning that you can inside your establishment, but if the moment you step out, everyone else is not following the protocols, then the problem is not solved, right? And also, that we have to see that our enterprises, the entire tourism network, no, hindi lang naman yan hotels, hindi lang naman yan events, no? Lahat yan nakatali, lahat yan nakatahi-tahi na what we do in one subsector affects everyone else, no? So, kailangan collaboration, kailangan team strategy, both public and private sectors. And then last is that, are you communicating your COVID strategy to general public? No? So I think importante yan, no? So it's good, like our colleague from Best Western, diba, si Raymond, no? Meron silang videos, no? Because to show that that they are doing things, very concrete things to address public concerns, no? And that helps, no? That helps because in the situation now, people will make choices on where they are going, on whether they will go, based on whether there is a public health strategy for COVID, no? At the enterprise level and at the destination level. And that brings me now to the last slide on destinations. No? A lot of next slide, please. No? A lot of the preparations so far, no, on the tourism side, have really been on the enterprise level. No? And then tayo mga travelers as individuals, we of course should know by now what all the social distancing guidelines are regarding masks, hygiene, spacing, and all that. No? Okay. But importante din na may strategy yung destination, right? Because after all, we don't go to a particular place because of a hotel. We don't go to a particular place because the hotel there has a particular COVID strategy. No? As travelers, we go to a particular place because it is a destination. No? There is an experience to be had there. Diba? So, like that, no? So if you're going to Boracay, if you're going to Bohol, if you're going to Subic, you're there for a particular experience and not just because of specific hotels or specific restaurants. Diba? After all, if not for the destination, the hotels would not be there. Diba? So we need to focus also on what the destination is and what it is doing to manage the public health risk. No? Okay. So places like Subic have a natural advantage because enclosed in Subic, you have very defined entry and exit points. Kaya nyong i-regulate, diba? So other places like Boracay, you have one definite entrance point, no? So these areas might be advantaged, might have an advantage in this scenario because they can easily control entrance and exit. No? So, but first, the destination, whether it's an LGU or a government agency, do you have mechanisms where you regularly communicate, coordinate, and collaborate with industry stakeholders? Again, team effort. Diba? So the LGU needs to talk with the hotels na, oy, in-implement ba natin yung mga protocols? How are you doing? Do you need help? Tsaka back and forth. No? So the hotels say, we need help kasi yung public area sa labas, kailangan i-manage din yan. Okay, ganon. So, team effort. Second, do you have a system in place to only allow DOT-authorized tourism enterprises to operate? Because the DOT is coming up with a system na they want to be able to verify that you are able to implement the protocol measures. Diba? So, dapat magtulungan yung DOT at yung LGU. Right? So the LGU should be able to enforce things about permits to operate, based on whether an enterprise has the DOT seal of approval already. Okay, and so the DOT is asking a lot of the enterprises to please apply for accreditation, please apply for this certification that you are complying with the standards. Okay, but again, remember that the tourism industry is not just the formal sector, right, of transport, accommodations, events. There are all the other enterprises that are not covered by DOT, but are part of tourist activities. Diba? Yung pupunta ka sa street vendor in a tourism site. That's an activity that's not strictly speaking covered by DOT. As a mandate yan ng LGU. But that is a point of public health concern. Or yung mga nagsusupply yung mga nagsusupply ng materials, equipment, pagkain sa mga hotels, diba? Yung mga raw materials ng hotels or other establishments. They're outside the main mandate of DOT pero nasa value chain sila, diba? And the virus can of course transmit to the value chain. Doon pumapasok yung LGU, right? Okay. Next is, how are you managing public spaces that are tourist areas as well? So, yun, yung mga tourist site, let's say a beachfront. Paano mo i-regulate yung distancing doon? And who's responsible for that? Okay. So naturally, doon papasok yung LGU. Particular monuments or particularly public facilities, halimbawa yung mga baywalk, mga promenade, di ba? Ganon, na these are really mga public parks. These are all very public areas. And who's responsible for them? The LGU. So, mandate yan ng LGU to manage these areas and prevent them from becoming points of transmission. And then yun, so how can you effectively register, track, and trace every visitor that arrives? We might have a sense na we're able to manage our communities. Pero how about the people who arrive? Baka nagdadala sila ng sakit. So they need to be tested. And then you need to track where they're going, where they visited, so that the moment an outbreak arises, you can intervene. Whether it arises locally or dinala ng visitor. The important is that you have the information to make decisions on how to quarantine people or to quarantine communities. Next. So are you monitoring for outbreaks? Do you have a containment strategy if outbreaks occur? So of course, the LGUs by now have a strategy for the communities. But oftentimes, we only plan for the communities. We don't necessarily plan for visitors. So we need to also try to figure out how the visitors arrive, check them, trace them, and then when they move throughout our destination, when the different sites, facilities that they visit, dapat may tracking din doon, may checking din doon. Okay. Are you building trust with potential travelers by properly communicating what you're doing to keep the place safe? Again, it's trust building. Diba? You need to communicate to the public that our destination is safe. Okay. And then lastly, how are you using technology to more effectively attain your goals? Diba? You might use social media. You might use apps to track people. You might use, so all these different things can be made easier with technology. And so, of course, it's good if LGUs are able to use technology, use them proactively, and use them in a way that allows people to experience the destination in a way that is healthy, safe, and at the same time enjoyable. Yun po. Thank you very much.
All right. All right. Mark?
Yes, Mike. Oh, thank you.
Hello, Mark.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, nandiyan na yata si partner Barbie. But, thank you very much. That's a very comprehensive report. And alam mo, pinabayaan ka namin mag-report kasi we are actually learning per slide. I'm sure, Miss Jem and Mr. Raymond would agree that this information are actually important and vital in, operating or recovering from this pandemic. Malaki rin yung, actually kanina pinakikinggan ko siya, related siya or meron siyang important report na dapat siguro nasa mga hotels, and also pati na rin doon sa mga nag-ooperate, for example, ng SBMA, Subic Bay Port Authority. Am I correct, ma'am? O Metropolitan Authority.
Metropolitan Authority. Yeah.
Alright. Sir, siguro magtatanong lang ako about dun sa report niyo. Can you tell us what's the representation in terms of number dito sa ating ginawang survey?
Yeah.
Will
So
this
these are-
represent about 2 million people or 10 million na Filipinos or 5 million tourists?
Okay. So the sample size were admittedly small. No? We computed it, and that translates to in terms of statistics, diba, yung 95% confidence interval with a plus or minus 5 margin of error. So,
Yes.
so we do have small samples, no? But they're a decent size. No? We're looking at 200, 300 samples. No? But what's interesting is that from the two surveys, consistent yung theme, consistent yung concerns, and then yung pagkakaiba ng mga percentages are all within the margin of error. So again, whether it's 40 or 60% won't travel, okay, that's not the point, diba? The point is really that there's a big chunk of the market that won't travel. Diba? Some destinations might see more of it, some destinations might see less of it, but we have to be prepared for that big of a market that will not be there.
Okay, Mark, you studied in your. Do you think that applies? How much of that really applies? Like your study was focused on Western Visayas, no, Region 6. But does that apply to other regions, particularly Region 3? Would the study, do you think, reflects also the sentiments about tourism in Region 3?
Okay, so of course, Region 3 would have a different context. No? As Ms. Jem pointed out, no? They have that advantage that they are near to Metro Manila and other metropolitan centers that you can just travel by car. No? So a big source of people's concern is at the airport, at the airplane. No? But if you have your own vehicle, that might be an advantage to you. No? So
both cost-wise.
One is that
cost-wise and convenience.
Yes. No. So you might see people na they might have gone to Boracay, but then instead they'll go to Subic. So there's a possibility, no? And of course, maybe over the next few weeks we'll get around to doing a survey also for Subic.
Well, why not?
Yeah, why not, diba? Because I think, and I think it's good that over the last few weeks that a lot of people in the industry were taking to surveys to find some data for them to make decisions on, and I think that's a good thing. No? Hindi lang tayo nag-guess, diba? We trying to get a concrete sense of what our next steps are. No?
Intelligent guessing, ika nga.
Yes.
All right. Pero kanina, Jem, you did share with us that, well, often dito kay Mark, the study showed that it looks like will start recovery, our road to recovery, not actual recovery yet, domestically on 6 months and probably internationally in 2 years. Now, in terms of that, with that basis, Jim, your figures show that a lot of the income pala, which I did not realize until now,
Mhm.
a lot of your revenues, a lot of your income are coming from the cruise ships, which are international tourism. But if we are to bounce back, starting with domestic tourism, which a lot of us in the industry are predicting, how will Subic survive that? I mean, okay, you'll start back to your tourism groove, pero you're losing a lot of it. Like I think
Yes.
offhand, we're talking about 70% of what you used to earn is not going to be there.
Well, yeah. Actually, just to put it in the proper perspective, we started the cruise ship niche market about 2 years ago. And the status of Subic as being a top destination started as early as 5 years ago. Kumbaga, hindi naging basis yung sa cruise ship arrivals in coming up with a good occupancy rate, which is almost 50%. Kasi we're not just a cruise ship destination. So that would be the answer to the question. Kasi putting aside si cruise ship, we have a lot of facets, we have a lot of um, offerings in Subic. So aside from the theme parks, aside from the cruise ship, we have convention centers. We are a premier convention capital in Central Luzon. So, ang kagandahan po, the numbers that I showed you kanina, if you remember, I think about only 20 events canceled. A lot of them just
Yeah.
rebooked with us. So, yun po. Again, that's parang delayed income siya, but I don't count it as a loss, of course, because we
Okay.
expect to get the income later on this year or next year. Again, we're also a sports tourism destination. We have been, awarded a lot of recognition when it comes to sports tourism, both locally and internationally. So tuloy-tuloy rin po yun. So hindi kami limited to one facet only. Ganun po kaming mabubuhay. Marami kaming offerings and the carrying capacity of Subic is big.
Okay.
Kahit i-50% mo yung capacity, marami pa ring mapupuntahan. Marami pa ring avenue. So, ang kagandahan niyan, just this morning, we got a copy of IATF Resolution number 43. And nandun na po, meetings up to 50% allowed na ang mass gathering. 50% of capacity. So, we're
The
talking
capacity.
sa convention center pa lang, 10,000 people lang capacity namin. Diba? Doon po
pero
nag-rely ang hotels. Yan.
pero yung church nyo maliit, kaya kahit 50%, mas konti pa yan.
Oo, konti
Pero
pa lang din.
what's
So yun,
optimistic
basically.
about that? What's optimistic about that? You're saying our future for tourism in SBMA is not anchored on the cruise ships.
Yes, it's
no
not.
pun intended. Pero di ba?
Yeah,
It's not anchored there.
Correct. Ano lang siya, it was an add-on. It was a big thing when it
Booster.
comes to impact, for us. But we don't, hindi naman sa hindi namin kailangan. Definitely, kailangan pa rin namin siya. But we go through this crisis, dahil kanina lang po, before we started, I got a call about cruise ship arrivals. Nagbo-budget na kami. And same po with the predictions, mga next year pa siguro yan, na magkakaroon maybe late next year. So, it was also good if I can say then yung kay Mark, no? Para nagkaroon ako ng checklist kung tama ang ginagawa namin. At ang kagandahan ay tumugma naman pala.
May affirmation. Okay.
Yes, there was an affirmation. Siguro
anong score?
8 or 9, mataas. Mataas siya. Because pasok siya, pasok.
Jen, help me understand. What's the ratio of foreign versus local tourists typically on a given day in SBMA?
We are primarily a domestic destination. Kaya po kami survive because, for example, let's say about 2 years ago, if we had about 8 million or 8.5 million visitors, our foreign visitors are only 30,000, 40,000.
Oh, there you go. Oh, sa
Kasi
talagang
most,
domestic.
it's, yun po yung paulit-ulit kong sinasabi rin sa mga stakeholders na even at the start, we have, kumbaga, syempre we have to worry also. There's a reason to worry, but compared to other destinations that rely heavily on the international clients, di ba? Ganun po
Tama.
siya. So, ganun po
Tsaka
siya.
after this pandemic, it's going to be a very sound advice, no, for people na before you try out going to other countries. Ayan na muna. Di ba, may pagkagaling sa problema, test the waters muna unti-unti. Huwag kang dive kagad. O yan. So una, tsaka muna sa Subic. O kaya sa Baguio, di ba? Tsaka ka na pumunta ng lumayo. Di ba?
Support local dapat. Support local.
Correct. Hindi, tsaka yung malapit. Dahil very accessible. Raymond, question, no? One of the things that are demanded of when you try to bounce back and return to normalcy or to the new normal, there will be a lot of interventions that are needed from you. Yung safety protocols, yung cleaning, siguro meron pa dyan mga, nakita ko na yung mga iba nagpalabas na ng mga automation.
Yes, so robotics and automation is really no
no contact that will cost you money, but at the same time, sabi mo nga kanina, your rates will probably be discounted. Medyo malaking problema yon. Tataas yung cost, pero bababa yung revenue. How will you handle that?
Well, again, we need to strike the balance pa rin talaga with the investment that we will be putting in, and at the same time yung revenue that we will be getting, no. Again, this will be a continuous assessment as the weeks pass by, no. We will know what initiatives that we can add on. Again, the paramount is the cleanliness and the safety of our guests and the employees.
Yeah. Pero pera pa rin yan, di ba?
Correct. Again, siguro idagdag ko lang rin yung yung sa point ni Mark kanina, yung collaboration between the hotels. What's good with the Subic right now, the collaboration with the local stakeholders for the hotel is really good, no. It was spearheaded by some of our colleagues here, some of the hotels.
Good.
Inside SBMA, I think what we are doing right now here at SBMA is really good in terms of standardizing the cleanliness of each hotel, no. Not only with Best Western, but I think Jem can attest to that most of the hotel here are not only complying but extending their initiatives in terms of guest safety, no, and cleanliness. Yun.
You're raising a very important point there. No? Parang under these circumstances, of course, you want to be competitive, but more than being competitive, I think collaboration is more important, di ba?
Correct.
Because the synergy ninyo, malaking bagay.
We cannot really do this all alone as a Best Western, but of course, with the help of our Miss Jem and the stakeholders, tourism stakeholders here in SBMA, it's really we can really fight back, no, siguro, in terms of this pandemic.
Pero is that achievable? I mean, kayo, siyempre, nasa tourism industry, you're in the hotel business, kayo sa SBMA, nakikita nyo yan, nagko-compete sila, di ba? Pero somehow, because of your business sense, Mark, you'll bear me out with this, ang ano mo pa rin is to come out of it ahead, di ba? Parang, can we really manage that urge to be so competitive that even at the expense of your competitors, basta makalamang ka lang? Versus the fact that, these are difficult times, it's time to collaborate. Is that attainable?
Can I say something first? Yeah.
Jen, please.
Subic has hosted a lot of big events. That is a big reason why we have a good relationship with our stakeholders. Kasi dahil malalaki yung event, there's always enough for everyone. And ang kagandahan, dahil nga po nasanay na sa ganong relationship na nagtutulungan, I really saw it even during this time na nag-quarantine. the hotels were talking to each other. Kasi we have a group chat. They were talking to each other na, oh, meron pang nangangailangan ng ganitong hotel, si export company. Ibigay, ganun po kaganda ang relationship ngayon.
Nako-coordinate.
Yes. So I think ang naging contributing factor to that, because we have had a lot of opportunities to collaborate through yung different events na host namin together.
I don't wanna rain on your parade, pero sabi nga lang, circumstances are different. Baka yung dating cooperative attitude ng mga competitors, baka mawala yan dahil maliit na yung pie. I mean, dati malaki yung pie that you can have a small share, a small slice, but now that the pie is shrunk, baka magkanya-kanya yan, ha? Mike?
That would be my job.
That's your job.
To give them enough
actually
market.
Yeah. Of course, Miss Jem, actually may question lang ako to Mr. Raymond. How do you cooperate, for example, with I just want to throw in questions from the viewers. And how do you cooperate with transport sector and travel and tour agencies? These people from Metro Manila or from NCR are bringing tourists to Subic. So how do you cooperate with them in terms of you are preparing, right? SBMA are also implementing their own protocols and also with the hotels. But how about the transport sector? And how about the travel agencies? How do you prepare them?
Yeah, actually medyo ngayon it's wala pa sa pipeline namin for yung mga transport sector or travel agencies, kasi we know that most of the travel agencies, especially yung mga inbound travel agency, medyo mahihirapan pa kasi they are tapping the international tourists. But for local tourists, we are trying to push our own effort with our own marketing team and sales and marketing team to do that. But again, as the time passed by, right, medyo mahirap pa magsalita as of now in terms of how we will address those issues. But definitely, right now what we are thinking is that of course the relaxation of cancellation policy yan, medyo tawag dito,
mabigat sa inyo.
Mabigat. But it will be it benefit the travel agency sector kasi uncertain pa yung yung market right now so
right,
yung relaxation ng cancellation policy is really talagang kailangan ma-implement.
Okay. Yeah, actually that's the point. Since we cannot actually travel to other provinces like Boracay or Bohol or Davao or Cebu right now, under GCQ and under MGCQ. So yung mga local travels natin or local tourists from NCR would prefer actually to travel to your destinations like Subic, diba, Bataan, Zambales. And currently ang Subic is closed and wala naman silang pupuntahan. So paano natin sila how are we going to treat this how are we going to treat our local tourists?
I think Miss Jem can answer that.
Well, yes. Una sa lahat, of course, yun munang setting the stage, kumbaga, setting the stage first. Of course, proper guidelines must be in place already. The DOT, we're waiting for the DOT to release guidelines for the tourism transportation. I think mag-out na sila soon. So doon magsisimula lahat and then we will localize it. Once the MGCQ is pronounced, then facilities will be open. So theme parks will be open. Then dyan na po papasok na pwede na ulit na mabuhay yung ating tourism transportation sector. Of course, based on the limited capacity, 50% capacity and all. Sabi nga nila, ngayon daw, survival mode lang ang habol ng lahat. Diba? Hindi daw, kumbaga, that's what I think Alibaba, who said Jack of Alibaba. He said, that's about survival. So, I think, kapag ka na-open naman na si convention center na nangangailangan ng transportation, papasok na naman sila. So, slowly, meron yan. May not be as the market may not be as big as before, but there will be a market.
Will find its own, it'll find its own level. Unti-unti,
Yes,
unti-unti.
yes. Yeah.
Tatanong ko lang si Mark. Mark, I appreciate your evaluation and the optimism that's derived out of your studies that you're doing. Pero nakikita ko rito, we're looking at an awkward balance. On one side, you'd like to have more visitors so that business in tourism industry being propelled. On the other side, you as a conservationist, ngayon nakikita natin, walang turista, walang bisita. Pero ang ganda ng kapaligiran. Malinis ang hangin, malinis ang dagat. Saan ba natin i-strike yung balance? How do we strike that balance?
Actually, that's where we feel na that's the opportunity right now, no? Na we have actually this opportunity to put everything in place, diba? Na before we were always just rushing to get all the numbers in, no? Or that lahat pwede pumasok dito sa mga sites na to, lahat, whether it's a sensitive site or not, no? Puro numbers, no? More visitors, no? But this gives us an opportunity to do two things, no? One is that yung what we talk about, yung carrying capacity, no? Carrying capacity is actually a difficult thing to do in terms of the environmental side, no? But using COVID, no, we have the guidelines, whether it's 1 meter or 2 meters apart. Now you automatically have a rule of thumb that will help you regulate the presence of people. No? Okay, so at a basic level, you have now a standard to regulate people, regulate crowds. No? And then second, this lull, no, this 6 months, 1 year or 2 years, or how long it takes, no, this is where the leading stakeholders, government, can really step in and then say na we need to put a plan in place so that yung environmental, cultural impact ng tourism na ma-manage natin. So para we can use this window to build back better, as they say. You know.
There's natural regulation. That's what you're saying. And find that line. Oh, I guess that's what it is, you know. You always have to find the right level at a certain point. I mean, you cannot overdo anything, di ba?
Yeah.
All right. Mike, okay. Ang question ko is, yung sinasabi, mabalikan ko lang ulit yung collaboration. Is it possible, for example, in an area like SBMA, I know, like for example, yung online check-ins, QR codes, whatever, kung centralized, and then may proper distribution kasi you cannot over-occupy a hotel. Is it possible to say, have a consortium under the SBMA's guidance na siguro isang check-in na lang sa SBMA. Punta ka lang sa isang site and then SBMA will guide you what hotel to go to para ang distribution medyo regulated at equal. May parity, di ba? I don't know, Jen, is that something possible?
Maybe we can advise and guide kasi government kami, so medyo it's hard to be directly involved in, you know, syndicating and distributing the direct clients, no? But we have an association in Subic. Usually the associations can play a key role in being like a concierge service. Kasi that's what our hotels do for the big events. Para siyang concierge, so ito lang ang tatawagan na sinespread ang
shared.
Yeah, so that's what we have been doing in the past. So maybe it has been effective before. Maybe it can be done now. So that
kasi meron malaki rin an investment eh. If you're looking at the digital infrastructure, di ba?
Yeah.
Kung magpo-pull in kayo ng cost, baka mas maliit, mas manageable, di ba? Mike?
Yes, actually that's the reason why we set up Tourismo, no. Tourismo is a platform where, you know, all the hotels, even actually the government can come in terms of regulations, in terms of tracking the travelers or the tourists, in terms of the occupancy of the hotels, no. Even actually sa transport sector that we have in Subic. I know, ma'am, di ba meron tayong transport cooperatives in Subic. And they are more than about 300 members. Well, I'm talking about Tourismo. As you can see on top of the our screen, that's Tourismo It's a platform, it's a unifying platform that will streamline or interface hotels. So these are not OTAs. We are not an OTA. The job of the platform is to interface. No, is to interface all players, all stakeholders in the tourism industry in a certain area, or even actually throughout the country. So in terms of, for example, somebody, the advantages in using Turismo platform is you can have now details about the passenger or about the traveler, and even actually the people that he's with going to Subic. No, even the van or transportation that they use coming into Subic, and even actually going out of Subic. Now, after finding out, for example, that the person have COVID or infectious disease, he went back to Metro Manila and find out that there was, that something happened to him and got infected with COVID or any other disease. Turismo can track that event and somehow
tracing.
inform the hotel and also inform, example, Subic, that no, this certain person got infected. So we have to trace back what the person was infected before going to Subic, because there's a 14 days asymptomatic case, right? Or he got infected after his 3 days, 4 nights in Subic. So through this platform, you can actually easily
Pwede nang
do
gawin. Yeah.
Sinasabi natin contactless booking. You can do it in Turismo. And we are willing actually to cooperate with the businesses or establishment and to all the stakeholders in Subic. Maybe we can do a pilot testing in Subic, Boss Barbie. No?
Pwede pilot dyan. Hindi kasi, I think the idea, the essence of the idea, Raymond, Mark, ng Turismo PH, is to finally get our act together. Di ba? All stakeholders, magtulungan tayo. We don't just heal as one, but we will grow as one. Ang question dyan, is that doable? Mark, from a standpoint of experience and history, can Filipinos in businesses get together, particularly in the tourism business? Can we get our acts together? Is that doable?
I think yes. Oh.
Or is it an elusive dream of Michael Herrera?
As I said, you would not be in this industry unless you're an optimist. Diba? So I think we can. In fact, although it's taken a while, the fact that our industry has been growing tremendously over the last 2 decades, shows that we can cooperate, we can collaborate, and even compete in healthy ways, para nag-grow yung industry, diba? And so I think the DOT has played a good role in shepherding the growth of the industry, and of course but at the same time, there's a lot of room for entrepreneurs to innovate and to contribute to make sure that the industry keeps moving forward. So yes, definitely there is hope for us to get our acts together and move together.
We can be frenemies or competitors, di ba? Jen, is that not an impossible dream as far as SBMA is concerned? Doable ba yan?
Nagawa na namin Nagawa na namin dati. Nung nag-quarantine, nagtulungan pa rin ang hotels. So, I think moving forward, mas lalo pang titibay yung relationship between, the stakeholders, and then of course with the government and the different players. So, kayang-kaya yan.
Okay. Raymond, hindi ka ba sasabihin ng mga owners ng Best Western? Dali, tayo muna.
Hindi naman. I mean, in the past work that I had with other hotels, I've been always I always campaign for a healthy competition. Kasi at the end of the day, it's not only our hotel will benefit. All of the stakeholders inside SBMA will benefit with that competition. No? Talagang it's a doable, sabi nga ni Miss Jem.
Something to look forward to and work on, right?
Correct.
Tama ba yung basa ko sa inyo lahat? In concurrence naman tayo that our fearless forecast is that 6 months, we're starting to creep back into domestic tourism, but international tourism is 2 years. Everybody agrees? Tama ba yung timeline na yan? Or is there anything else that can happen in the next 6 months that will either promote, make it faster, or deter, or push it further down? What are the possible scenarios? Mark?
Yeah, so the 6 months for domestic and then 2 years for international. No, the caveat there, the things that we should watch out for is that do not expect na in 6 months you will again have the hundreds of thousands or millions of travelers. No?
Tourists.
It will gradually creep back up, no, and it will take a long time to reach back that level. But people will start traveling again. No? I think the challenge really is whether or not magka-outbreak ulit, magka-second wave, yung tinatawag nila na second wave. No? Because if the infections suddenly start increasing again, no, to a point that the public health system cannot cope, then there's no choice but to lock down again. No? And then we're back to square one. No? So again, this is where we should be mindful about yung impact natin in terms of public health with everybody else, our relationship in public health, no, with everybody else. No? Because if we start being less vigilant as individuals, then everyone suffers. Yun.
Okay.
So important is that we stop the second wave. No? We don't get to a second wave. Dapat talaga flatten tayo.
6 months is not bounce back, it's starting to creep back. Dahan-dahan. Di ba? Jen, how firm are you on this prediction? Ayan, ayaw na magsalita ni Jen. Nag-mute ka na. Nag-mute ka. Paki-unmute mo yung mic mo.
Unmute ko pala. Ayan. So again, hindi nalalayo rin yung iniisip namin from what Mark said. And I think, another plus thing for us as we wait dun sa 6 months na yan is the fact that since we are a commercial, industrial, and tourism freeport zone, yung aming business clients na matutulog dyan, makikinabang si hotels. Yan ang mga maunang tingin kong gagalaw, hindi naman leisure related yan eh. So yan, yung mga yan, kumbaga may client na si hotels, diba? And then we're also pushing for supporting the local industry. We have 150,000 people working in Subic. We have almost 1,800 locators. So yun po yung mga team ng mga marketing materials namin ngayon, support local. So, the community, the Subic Bay Freeport community will play a big role in making sure that the waiting time will not be that bad. And, na magiging okay naman once we reach that point na pwede na ulit talaga at may confidence na ulit ang mga turista na magbiyahe.
So, 6 months pwede pa mapaiksi yan, ha?
Pwede.
Meron tayong may texted in question dito, nangangamusta. Kamusta daw yung mga kapatid nating Aita?
Yeah,
yung mga sa ecotourism.
Yeah, ang mga katutubo po natin dito. If you're familiar with Pamulaklakin Forest Trail, it's an ecotourism trail. It used to be run tourism, but a few years back, we transferred full operations, ownership to the Aitas. Sila po nagpapatakbo. At sa totoo lang po, sila ang mga malaki ang income sa cruise ship. Kasi po yan ang foreigner, tama po ba?
Yun ang gusto puntahan.
Yeah, ang kagandahan lang in Subic, we also have a joint management agreement with our indigenous people. So they need not rely on that income. We give them money, about 20 million a year is given to our katutubos. So
ngayon okay sila, Jen? Okay sila?
Kasama po sila sa mga minomonitor din po na communities ng Subic Bay. So meron din po kaming mga nilalagay sa kanila na mga doctors, lagi po silang sina-check up. So in short, ama sila sa base na community ng Freeport, hindi po sila pinababaya.
Very nice. Ako naman mga kamusta? Kamusta yung mga monkeys at mga bats?
Kanina lang umaga, nakatira po kasi ako sa Biniktikan. So yung mga monkey ay kanina umaga lang nag-hi din sila sa akin. Marami po sila.
Ando pa ba,
Consider.
ando pa ba sa biniktikan yung ano, Uncle Mo's ba yan? Yung convenience
Uncle
store doon?
Ed's. Uncle
Uncle
Ed's.
Ed's.
Iba na po. Iba
Oo.
na po ang
Ay, iba
convenience
na.
store. doon.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Raymond, 6 months.
6 months. Actually, we're forecasting it to be as mas maaga pa, no?
Okay.
Again, yeah, gradually, yes, but kahit yun nga, yung collaboration talaga importante. Kahit isa lang mag-positive within SBMA, definitely it will be affected then.
Yes.
Mas maganda talaga kung lahat ng stakeholders within SBMA will be compliant, and at the same time they will exceed siguro more than the expected pa, no? Mas maganda ng medyo you are exceeding the kung ano yung binigay ng government. Siguro mas maganda talaga kung
Okay, so that's gonna be 6 months or shorter, as long as everybody cooperates and everybody puts in their share, and let's get out of this pandemic once and for all, di ba? Michael, kaya ba natin yun?
Well, I think kaya naman po, no, especially mga Pilipino. Alam naman natin na resilient ang mga Pinoy. And palagi naming sinasabi sa Tourismo, I think this is the time that we need or the government should focus on technology in terms of growing and sustaining our tourism industry. Yung sinasabi nga kanina ni Sir Mark that one way to solve this pandemic or for us to move forward is to use technology as part of the strategy, not only of the private sector but also of the government. And also sinasabi ni Ms. Jem kanina, with correct protocols, with correct partnership and collaboration, everything can work well. By next month, I think we will be under MGCQ, so people will be allowed to travel to Subic, and hopefully, we're actually, Sir Barbie, sasamahan kita. Let's go to
Doon tayo mag-stay kila Raymond. Doon tayo mag-stay kila Raymond, tapos papasyal tayo ni Jem. Mark, sama ka?
Mark, sama
Sige.
Yeah, let's go there. Yeah.
Anytime.
We need to go there. And under MGCQ, this will be i-implement na natin the new norm na tinatawag natin. And let's see kung how Tourismo on our part can volunteer and give that platform that you need and help you with moving forward.
All right. Okay. I think we have enough time for final words for what's our message for our Filipino public and the stakeholders of this wonderful industry that we're looking forward to bouncing back very soon. Your words for them, your message for them. Let's start off with Mark, Evidente.
I think bottom line really is that yes, there's a future for the industry, because after all, travel is a very innate to human beings, to discover and experience new things. But really, as we move forward, let's be vigilant. Let's work together. Para as you said, Sir Barbie, we have to work together in order to bring an end to this pandemic.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you very much, Mark. And we'll see you on the Intramuros Administration Board meetings, yung ating conservation plan.
All
right, Best Western, Mr. Raymond Fujii-san.
Again, in the next few weeks or few months, hopefully we can bounce back. Again, we need to take care of our guests excellently, our stakeholders, a continue collaboration with the government agency, with Ms. Jem and the Department of Tourism, with our community and our, of course, our investor, our owner. Talagang yun yung isa sa mga kailangan continuous collaboration and support with each other, and hopefully we in the next few months SBMA will bounce back.
All right. All right. And we will have the best accommodation from Best Western.
Of
There you go.
course.
Yes.
Jem,
Yeah.
Jem Camba from SBMA.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for having us. Thank you for doing this feature on Subic Bay. It is a pleasure to be able to talk about Subic, the Subic that we love, and being able to talk about how we will go through this. The Filipinos are resilient. The tourism industry in the Philippines is very resilient, and because we are positive people, we are able to look at the brighter side of things, and it's all a matter of perspective and coming up with the right plans and strategies. First of all, in terms of safety and health, addressing that important concern, and then second of all, making sure that our stakeholders, all of our theme parks and destinations or attractions are ready, so that if we work together, we can show the rest of the country and the region how beautiful Subic is, and how together we can get through this pandemic, um, and find that positivity lang, and we'll definitely get through this. Thank you.
All right. All right. And we'll see you soon at the SBMA. My
Yeah.
best regards to Attorney Ami Esma and
Yes.
Army Llamas.
Yeah. We'll do.
All
We'll do.
right. Mr. President Mike, any parting words?
All right. I just want to thank everyone. No? We appreciate your presence here in Turismo TV. Thank you very much. It's an honor to have you all here. Miss Jem, Sir Mark, and Sir Raymond. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat. And sa aming mga tagapakinig na sumubaybay, sa ulitin po actually, next week we have our next episode. I think that's our 7th episode, and we're doing it with the DOT Region 3 Director.
Region.
And with
Okay.
Region 3. And with the NCR DOT Director Woodrow Makiling.
GRR, Director RR. Yeah.
Yes, QRR,
Okay.
yes.
Good.
So please watch next week again.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. Again, thank you to our panelists, Mark, Raymond, and Jem. And folks, what we got here is something very exciting, something that we're looking forward to. In 6 months or less, we can bounce back, or at least crawl back into
Gradually.
the new norm. And the challenge is, it's really in our hands. The future is in our hands. We have to keep it safe and healthy and, conducive for our tourists to come. The thing about it is that one thing to do to be successful about it is to collaborate, to work together. Sabi nga, merong barangay act, merong bayanihan act. Well, it's still bayanihan in tourism. We don't heal as one, but we grow as one. We bounce back as one. Kailangan lang talaga magtulungan. And let's all do this for our beloved country. Let's do it for ourselves. Let's be both optimistic as well as realistic and do our part. That's the message. We cannot be just bystanders. We cannot just wait and watch. We have to do our part. Sa ngalan po ng Turismo PH at ang mga bumubuo nito at sa Turismo TV, nagpapasalamat po tayo sa ating mga panelists at maraming salamat po sa ating mga nanood at sumama sa ating sa ating broadcast for today. Again, samahan niyo po kami sa susunod na pagtatanghal ng Turismo TV. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat and God bless. Stay safe, stay well.
All right, Sir Barbie.
Okay.
Wow,
We're off.
very dynamic. Yes.
Tapos na tayo.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Wala
tapos
tayong
tayo.
Sana Ruth, next meron tayong extra music. Meron tayong
Yes.
intro di ba? Extra din tayo.
I think, Sir Barbie, gagamit tayo next time ng ibang route na wala.